It's always great seeing the Brown Bear back in action. He's going to be taking on Azamat Murzakanov coming up here at UFC Fight Night, August 13th. Devin, how's it going, man?
Oh, going good. I'm glad you said his name because I don't know how to say his name.
I
I've just
probably
been
said
calling.
it wrong too. I was actually debating whether I should just skip saying the name, but it's all good. I went for it. It's all good, man. But good to see you back in the cage. I know we spoke right after the last fight. Was this the right amount of time off? It seemed like it probably was with, obviously you having another camp here at Elevation Fight Team.
Yeah, it's pretty perfect. I can't really complain about it. Just I had time with the family and then back to work. So feeling good, feeling healthy, and just keeping getting better.
A new contract, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, new contract. Yep, I kind of needed that last win, and that just kind of secured that new contract and whatnot. So yeah, I'm pretty happy, and yeah.
Does the confidence level go up a little bit just because, again, the UFC's backing you here? This is another contract. Like, you've been with the UFC for a couple of years now. Like, that's got to feel good going into a fight like this, knowing you got a bit of security. I know, again, they can, do whatever they want with the contract, but still, that's got to feel good, man.
Oh, it feels great, and a lot of times I forget. But then you know how you get like the photos that pop up on your like Google timeline or whatever, and I guess it's one popped up recently in my first UFC fight, and that was 6 years ago. So it's like, oh shit, time flies, that's all. But yeah, it definitely feels good to get a new contract. And on that same note of the confidence, getting my first finish in the UFC, this last fight was huge for me, for my confidence and just my mental, being able to prove that I can do it, especially against a guy that was way bigger than me. So yeah, it feels good.
It's awesome. Let's talk about your opponent here, 11-0. Did you know much about him before accepting this fight, or was it one of those cases you had to go back and kind of look up some tape? Like what did you know about him prior to getting the fight?
I didn't know anything about him. I still don't know much about him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care too much. I know, he's a Russian guy, but I don't. I'm gonna, of course, I'm gonna do a little more film work on him. But he's more of a striker, which you don't see. Usually you think the Russian fighter, you're thinking wrestling.
Grappling or wrestling, yeah.
But I think he's a little more of a striker, which we can handle him wherever. But that's about what I know about him.
Do you leave like you mentioned watching a bit of tape and stuff? Do you rely more on your coaches for that, like them scouting the opponent, and you just sort of listen to what they say? Because I know some fighters, they want to take control of that. Others, sort of more passive. Where do you stand on that?
Well, my deal, I'll watch a little bit of film on him, right away in camp or before I accept the fight or whatever. Usually I do. Usually I just accept the fight, then I'll watch film. But then I like to revisit the film like the last 2 or 3 weeks of camp, make sure we're checking all the boxes and just aware of some of the stuff he can do. But I don't like to focus a whole lot on what he's doing because you see it all the time. And these are fighters in the UFC, veterans even, they're so worried about their opponent, especially if they have like a specific skill that they're really good at. They'll focus so much on that, then it'll take away from their skills. And I'm guilty of it. I've done that before too, and I totally forget out the other aspects of the fight. It's not just striking or wrestling or whatever. They might have a specialty in that, but you got to kind of think outside the box and just be ready for everything.
Yeah. Training camp. Who've been some of the main guys that have been helping you get ready for this fight? Obviously, at the time we're recording this, we got your buddy Curtis Blaydes fighting in the UFC London main event on Saturday. I imagine you got to work a bit with him because you're light heavyweight.
Yep. I was working with Curtis and Zach Puega.
Yeah, from Tough. Yeah.
Puega, but he's out there with Curtis as well. And then the guy we call Vanilla Thunder, Ben Timon, I think is his name. Last name. I just know him by Vanilla.
No worries. So. You're just in there to spar with these guys. It's not like roll call or anything, right? So.
And then also my roommate John Kudeman as well. So got some good guys, and yeah, we've been grinding, working hard.
It's good. How is this camp compared to the last camp you have? Because obviously you're more familiar with the guys, and being in Colorado and all that. How have things been this time around? Any differences?
Yeah, I mean, just being a little more comfortable and used to everybody. When last camp we were just kind of getting to know each other, getting to know the teammates and the coaches, and how we can work together, and just different aspects of the relationship there. So yeah, of course, this time's much smoother, and we're kind of, especially coming off a good win, that always helps. So all of our confidence is high, and just working on the routine, basic stuff, and just getting better every day, and just making sure we're hitting our marks.
How did Curtis look in camp? I don't know if you saw the betting line, but he's actually the underdog ahead of the main event on Saturday.
He looked great. I mean, my face still hurts a little bit. That guy, he's got some power, and even in sparring, he doesn't spar crazy, try to knock you out, but he just has so much just natural power that he doesn't even, just him swinging his arm, it hits hard. So, but he's looking good and in great shape. It's going to be a really good fight for him.
Yeah, and I looked this up. It's actually the first time Curtis has closed as a betting underdog in his career in the UFC, which is nuts. Like, he was even favored against Francis back in the day, so that's kind of interesting. And I imagine weight cuts going well. Like, I don't think you cut a ton, right, to get to 205. Because you used to fight at middleweight. I think people forget that. You used to fight at 185, which I know that those days are long gone, but still, how is the weight cut?
It's going all right. I'm a little heavier than I was last camp at this time, which is like I'm 235 right now. I think last camp at this time I was probably 228, 227, and that's when I got the call that I was fighting heavyweight. So it's kind of, the situation's reversed there. It'd be nice if I was that weight this time, actually fighting light heavyweight, not light like I was last time fighting heavyweight.
Right.
But yeah, it's going good. It's something I'm used to. We've always made that weight cut, and I've always been around this weight. So,
do you have like a meal prep company, or do you make your own meals?
Make my own meals. I'm a big meat eater, so it's usually ground beef. Ground beef is the main thing, or otherwise I'll do pork and a little bit of chicken, and then maybe once a week do a steak. Me and my roommate John Kudeman, we just had some big tomahawk steaks. Have you ever had one?
I have, yes. And you know what? I will say this too, just as like a side note. Grass-fed steak is so much better than regular steak. Like, I make a point of trying to get it, even though it's more expensive. It's just, if you're going to spend the money, spend that little bit more, and it just tastes so much better, I think, anyways.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a huge difference. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to the meats and stuff like that. I'll go to the butcher shop. We'll go to the butcher shop or order it from a farm or something like that.
Yeah. Local raised, all that stuff. Like, I'm like that too, where I'm just like, I've been way more conscious of what I'm eating and stuff. And it's just like, it really is like you're fueling your body. Why put like, you put regular gas in your car, you put like, something else in there, it's not going to run as well. It's the same sort of thing with us, right? When it comes to eating.
Oh, absolutely. And we use it, especially when you're in camp and you're training 2 to 4 times a day. You're using all that fuel that you consume. You're using all of it. So, you got to get the good stuff in to get those nutrients to stick.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Okay, before people think this is a nutrition podcast, who's going to be in your corner for this fight? Who's joining you on the trip?
Vinny Lopez and Cody Donovan. And then, Of course, my dad, Clark.
Yeah, of course. It's mandatory there. And how's the fight playing out on August 13th? How do you see this one going down?
I guess I haven't really thought about it yet. But I'm of course I see myself taking him down. Hopefully get a finish, especially maybe in round 2 or 3. But yeah, I don't, he's a little more of a striker, so we'll have to play with that a little bit. But I do see myself being able to take control of the fight with my grappling, with my pressure and stuff like that.
Do you want to get one more fight in after this one? If all goes well, you're relatively healthy, or are you kind of looking more towards next year? Because it is kind of close to the fall, right? This fight?
Yeah. If the fight goes well and it's a quick fight, and nothing injured, I'd be open to fighting right away again. It'd have to be like pretty, within a month or so from the fight. They needed a last minute fill in or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason not to.
Because I think people forget, like, you're away from home for your camp, so it's tough to be away from your family. It's not like you can just, hop on all these fights, or you live in Vegas or something. Like, it has to be something that's well thought out, right?
A little bit, yes. And that's why I like the closer to a previous fight. If it goes well, I'm still in great shape, and it easier for me to get back. But yeah, that is a thing. Being away from my family, it's horrible, but it's necessary in this situation. I'm not going to make my family move across the country and stuff like that. You know, we've got a good setup back home. So we just kind of we've been making this work for 6 years now.
Mhm.
And you know, we're still here, still doing it. So you know, we must be doing something right.
I don't think we've spoken since Yuri Prohaska won the light heavyweight title over Glover Teixeira. I know that was a few months back, but what did you think of that performance? Just a crazy fight, and then Yuri of all people submitting Glover. That was crazy at the end.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the fight, but I saw the highlights and heard everything about it. And wow, yeah, it sounded like a really good fight. Hopefully they just rematch right away. That
Mhm.
that would make sense to me. But yeah, it's crazy that Yuri has the title now. I think he's had how many UFC fights has he had?
3 fights. That's it.
Three?
Volkan, Dominic Reyes, and then Glover.
Yeah, that's just insane. But you know, when you're that good, I guess that's what you can do.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was super cool. I'd like to see a rematch on that one for sure.
I don't know if you trained with him at all. Well, you wouldn't have, but yeah, I know he was at your gym at the time. Cowboy Cerrone retiring. Just your thoughts on his career and him hanging them up after that loss at 276.
Yeah, I think it's probably about time. He's accomplished so much in his career, and I know he's getting into other extreme sports with racing and stuff like that. So, um, you know, it might not have been the way he wanted to go out, but uh, you know, he's had a great career, and he's one of the legends of the sport. You know, when you talk about UFC, Cowboys always brought up. So, and he was always cool to me.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, always joking around and stuff like that. So it was uh, had a decent relationship with him, but yeah, it's you know when it's time, it's time.
And last question for me, Colorado again, new scenery and everything. What do you do when you get that little bit of downtime? Do you go on any hikes, or what do you like doing when you get that little bit of time outside of training?
Yeah, I've actually done 3 14ers now, 14,000 foot mountains. I guess I
Wow,
think
that's
that's
awesome. Okay, cool.
3 of them. But my roommate, he's done like 30. So uh,
So the bar set high. Yeah, it's tough to do.
yeah, and but yeah, it's super cool. And being from South Dakota, eastern part of South Dakota, where it's super flat, we got cornfields. It's a nice change to be able to go up in the mountains. You know, I drive my truck up there, and I do a little bit of off roading too. Um, and that's the easiest way, you know, on a Sunday, just go for a drive and see the scenery, work the truck a little bit. Because the hikes, they're really good and really good for the lungs. You know, you're in elevation and you're kind of working your cardio system and your legs and endurance and stuff like that. But it is a lot to kind of throw that into everything else you're doing with camp. So sometimes it's just a drive, sometimes it's a hike.
Yeah, no, for sure. Did you mentioned a truck? Did you buy a truck in Colorado, or did you drive out to Colorado?
I drove here, and
Wow. Okay.
I always drive to camp for that reason. I drive my truck so I can go mess around on the weekends. Because when I was in Albuquerque, there was some mountains and stuff there too, so plenty of trails and off roading things. But it's only 9 hours from where I live in South Dakota to Denver,
That's cool.
so it's not bad. And I like to drive anyway, so yeah.
Good stuff. Devin, thanks for doing this, man. Excited for this fight. UFC Fight Night, August 13th. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors or any social media you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
I just want to thank all the fans for supporting me and keeping me going. So this next fight is going to be a really good one. I finally get to fight a Russian fighter. I've been waiting a long time to fight a Russian fighter. Um, this is the fifth time I think I've been lined up against a Russian guy, and it's just one of those things I want to test myself. So I'm super excited for this one. It's going to be a great fight.